feeling that this is going to be an episode that you are going to want to bookmark and come back to time and time again. I've got to tell y'all, this is one of the most widely requested topics that I get asked to speak on. And even my clients who have heard me share this bit of information a number of times often will ping me and say, can you give me a reminder? I need to hear a little truth on this topic again. So today what I'm going to share with you is how to fund your dreams. You are currently listening or watching the Live Your Yes Life podcast, where we share channeled thoughts, discussion, and interviews on what it takes to go from dreaming and wishing to actively living your yes life. Now, this is a little bit of a special episode. Lisa and I just did a 2-part series. We recorded part 1 of this, which aired last week together, where we shared the full details of how it is that you can work with us inside of our membership community, The Circle. And this is a follow-up to that because one of the most common questions that we get asked after people, they say to us, okay, I really want to work with y'all. I want to be in the circle. I want to have a life coach. I want to do this, but how do I pay for it? How do I figure out the funding component of it? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I also want to say that I'm not just going to talk about how to fund your dreams. So that's the question I get asked the most. I'm going to speak into the 2 other things that tend to slow people down when they are committed to having the next layer of support for whatever their dream is, which is that they may feel like they do not have the time, or they're worried about this being the right time or not, or they are feeling like they need to get permission from either somebody or something before they can move forward. So I'm going to speak into all of that today. Like I said, this is one you're going to want to bookmark, you're going to want to come back to and revisit. Okay? So let's start here with saying that, yes, I am going to specifically speak to you if you are wanting to work with us, hire us as your life coaches, join us inside of the circle or our masterminds, or work with us in a VIP day. And everything that I share can also totally be applied to any way that you are looking to make an investment or any support structure that you are wanting. The list could go on, but let's say you're wanting to work with a health coach or hire a photographer for your wedding, or you're wanting to book a first-class ticket to go on vacation with your family. Like, no matter what the thing is that you are wanting to make an investment on to move you closer to your dream, all of the same principles that I'm sharing today will apply, okay? And this is why I'm saying that you might want to come back to this again and again. Because what I know is that you're going to keep having dreams. And what I also know is that your dreams are going to require you to continue making investments in them. And so whenever we can move beyond the things that would slow us down or stop us, like money, time, and seeking permission, having a resource like this video that I'm going to share with you today in your pocket can really be an awesome support structure. I also want to start by saying that my intention is not to convince you of anything. I'm not here to do any kind of convincing. This is the video for you to watch if you already have decided that you are a yes for something. Whatever that thing is, you have decided, yes, I'm going to have this. This is for me. Then this is the video for you. If you're still on the fence, if you're not sure if you want whatever the resource that you're thinking will be supportive for your dream is, this video might be helpful, but really I would encourage you to first do the soul searching and the connection with yourself to make an empowered decision before you're starting to think about these things. One of the ways that we trip ourselves up is by considering the how before it's time to consider the how, okay? And let me be very clear. The appropriate time to ask how is after we have made the decision. I think that it is of disservice to us to try to figure out the how if we might be a no. The how only has a place when we are a yes. So consider whatever it is. And I'm going to keep using the example of joining us inside of the circle because it's a real life example that I can speak into, and many folks will listen to this video as a support structure for them. But know that our coaching community, The Circle, is just one example of how you can use this resource, okay? So the first thing that I want to say is listen once you have already made a decision. So the time to listen to this video is you have said, you know what? I'm joining the circle. I am committed. I'm going to have a life coach. I'm going to join this community. I am going to be all in on my dreams. I'm committed at a 10, which means I will take action even though I don't know how. And now that I've made that commitment, I am here and it's appropriate for me to say, okay, but how do I fund it? What is the first step? And so we begin. I want you to know that if you were to tell me, Kaela, I'm all in and I do not have the money sitting in my bank account. Like I do not have a special fund that was like rainy day, I want to make a bougie investment in myself, or rainy day, I want to make an important investment in myself, or whatever it may be. I would believe you, okay? I would not push back. I would not tell you that I don't believe you. Whatever your truth is, whatever going on in your bank account is between you and your bank account, and I trust you and I believe you. But here's what I know. It is that it is not our bank account that creates the money. It is us. Our bank account is simply the place that shepherds and holds the money when we tell it to, when we say, you're going to take care of this money here. So if we are looking for our bank account to give us permission or our bank account to tell us the how, it's not going to work because that's not the job of our bank account. Our bank account is just meant to hold and shepherd the money that we give it and that we ask it to. So when people come to me and say, I really want something, whatever it is, I help my clients do this all the time with the things that they want to invest in for their dreams. And they say, but I do not know how to fund it. The first place that I go is here. Are you connected with how worthy you are to have the desired result that you want? And I'm going to be honest with you, this is a place that trips a lot of people up. Because even if we logically know that we are worthy of whatever our dream is or whatever the desired result is, we are not always standing in that worth. We are not always plugged into our worth in such a way that we would be able to follow through with a powerful action. Okay, so though we might logically know I'm worthy of it, we're not always acting as if we are, or we're not always really owning or standing in our worth. And that is the first place that we have to go. And this makes sense, okay? If we think about that I'm not feeling worthy, I am feeling like I am less than, like I'm not good enough, like I haven't earned it, like I haven't proved it, like I need to work harder, like I need to be more or less or whatever the thing is before I can have it. Why would I go through all of that effort to try and figure out how to pay for it? I'm not going to. I'm simply not going to figure it out. I think about 2 years ago when my husband and I started putting together the dream that we had of having a lake house. If on day number 1, when we started talking about this dream, someone would say, okay, you got to pay for it today, I would have been like, I do not have the money, friend. I don't know where to get that from. I don't know how to do it, because I was not yet feeling worthy of having this dream. I was still in this rocky, shaky spot of feeling like I am just kind of, sort of, maybe getting into my stride as a homeowner for one house and in a small rental house that I have. And I'm still feeling a little wobbly in that. I'm still feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome, which is when we say, who am I to have all of this? And so to think about me having a home, a rental home, and a lake house, I don't know that I'm really seeing myself in that worth. When I was in that place, I promise you that I would not have on that day gone through all the trouble to figure out how to pay for it, because I was disconnected from my worth when it came to this dream. So if we want to pay for something, the very first thing that we have to do is we have to plug into our worthiness for our dream and our worthiness period. So we get to look at, what is our dream really? What is the result that we want to have? What is the experience that we're committed to? And we get to activate our worthiness. We get to snuggle up to the fact that I actually am deserving of having that experience. And check in with yourself if that feels like it is hitting a nerve. And just know that I have so much grace and compassion for you. If some tears are starting, because this is what happens. We start to realize that even though I want this thing so much, there is a part of me that says, People like you can't have that. Who do you think you are? You actually think you deserve that? You've tried before and you've fallen off. You haven't stayed committed. You haven't followed through. Why would you think this is going to be any different? And so we start to beat up on ourselves and we disconnect ourselves from our worth. And then of course, if we're disconnected from our worth, we're not going to figure out the funds. So here's what I'm telling you. If money is the thing coming up, it's probably not about the money. Now, I'm not saying the money's not real. I'm just saying that that's not the root cause. Not having the money readily available is a symptom of the deeper root cause of us feeling disconnected from our worth. Now, here's the good news. As we plug into our worthiness, as we say, I do deserve that. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I don't know how this is going to go, but I know that I deserve it. I know that this dream that I have is mine for a reason. Then it opens up the possibility for the how to be revealed. And this is where we get to start getting creative. And there's so many ways that we get to do this. This is where we can start to ask ourselves, okay, is there actually any money sitting around that I have maybe earmarked for something else, but I have access to? I can tap in and use this resource for myself. And this is where I see that sometimes people will have a savings account for travel or for Christmas funds or a 401k. And they're like, you know what? There actually is money there. Or even sometimes someone will say, I have the money sitting in my savings account. I was just feeling like I could not spend the money on myself because of limiting belief XYZ, because of feeling like I'm not worthy of having that. But now that I've really decided, and it's a decision, that I am worthy of having my dreams, the truth is that I can just take it from this account, okay? Another way that we can be creative is we can leverage money. And y'all, this is important. Now, I know that everyone has different feelings about leveraging resources, about credit cards, about debt, about loans. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm just here to remind you that there are options, that there are resources. And what I have seen, this is my own anecdotal observation, okay? I don't have the data to back it up, but just from my own observations, being a woman entrepreneur in this world, what I see is that often men are willing to take this bet on themselves. They're like, you know what? I can put that on a credit card because I know that I can pay that back. Or I can take that loan out because I know that I will make the money to pay that back. And as women, we can tend to be a little more apprehensive. We start to feel like, but what if I don't follow through? What if and we go down the rabbit hole of the disempowered what ifs. And instead of leveraging the resources that are here and available to move us towards our dreams, which opens up capacity for more, we start to take ourselves out. I want to tell you a story. Maybe you've heard me share this before, of the very first time that I had this moment for myself in a big way. So I was in my mid-20s, early to mid-20s, and I had decided that I was going to become a life coach. And that meant that I got to sign up for a life coach training program where I would go through my own transformation and learn how to do this for others. Now, at the time of deciding this, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I had a sales call in January. It was the third week of January. I remember distinctly. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And naively, I was thinking that, this coaching program probably runs like a school cycle. It probably starts in September and runs like a school schedule. And I will be able to find out how much it is, save a little bit of money or get a student loan and get started in September. So I'm on this call and I can remember I was on the phone driving into my apartment complex. I was shaking and I hit the curb as I came into my apartment complex. And the woman from the school was telling me how the investment was $16,500. It was a year long. The next round started in 3 weeks and I would need to travel out of state to be in person 1 weekend a month, every month for a year. I was $100,000 in debt. I had no savings account. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I did not even have a stray $20 bill living around. And I had one credit card with a $500 limit on it for emergencies. I was shook, y'all. I was shook. And here's what I did. I parked my car in front of my apartment and I was shaking and my breath was scary. And I was talking to this woman. I told her that I wanted to believe in myself, that I wanted to believe that this could be possible for me. And so I took out the one credit card that I had with a $500 limit, and I asked her if I could make a $500 deposit while I sorted out the rest. And that is what I did. I maxed out the one and only credit card that I had, and then I said to myself, okay, I have 3 weeks to figure out how to create $16,000. Now, prior to that moment, I would not have even known how to figure out a way to make 16 extra dollars, okay? I was in a space where I worked a salary job. My paycheck came every 2 weeks, and that was the money that there was, and that's all that there was. And so I was unaware of the abilities or the options available to me to create access to money. But by making the decision first, by connecting to my worthiness and deciding that I got to have this, that I got to figure out something new, I opened up to new possibilities. And I started to see, where can I leverage resources? Where can I go to have somebody give me access to the money up front? And then what skills and resources do I have that I will be learning that I can make the money to pay that back and honor my agreement? And that is exactly what I did. And what I learned in that moment is that I am a powerful creator. That anytime I want to create money for anything, I know how to do that. And this has come in handy, this ability to see myself as a powerful creator and to be able to create the money for whatever it is that I want has come to serve me time and time and time again. Even recently, at the start of this podcast, I mentioned my dream to have a lake house, which my husband and I did buy a few months ago. And when we were just 11 days before closing, my realtor called me and let me know that things were shifting and we were going to need an extra $11,000 for closing. Now, luckily, I did not skip a beat and I said, all right, I've got it. Because I had the ability to know how to create big money in a short time because I know how to do it. And I credit all of this to that moment that I first decided. So, if you're wondering, how do I fund it? We start with deciding that we deserve it, deciding that we're worthy, deciding that we are going to, and then we take just the next step to fund the first payment. We don't have to fund the full thing. We just fund the first payment or the deposit. And that is where we start. And we get curious with ourselves. Okay, what is the deposit? So depending on the different payment options or whatever you choose, your first payment to join us in the circle could be something around $300. There's different options, okay? But it could be something around $300. And so once we have decided I am worthy of having my dream life, I am worthy of experiencing the transformation for my life that I'm gonna have while I work with a life coach and this community for a year, we start with, and how could I create access to $300? And we just take the first step. And one of my favorite things to do is to make a list of 3 to 10 ways that I would know to get access to $300 today. Okay, let's just say we only did 3 ways. That I said, I'm gonna make a list of 3 ways that I would know to get access to $300 today. And those 3 ways might be, I could put it on a credit card, I could take $150 out of my savings account and $150 out of my checking account. And the third could be that I could sell something in my house or I could sell a service. And boom, there's 3 ways. Well, now I actually just came up with a way to make $900 and I'm only needing $300. So that's the first place that I want to invite you to start. I want to keep rolling here. I want to talk to you about the 2 other things that get in the way. So we've just talked about, how do I fund this? But another question might be, how do I make the time for this? Or how do I know if this is the right time? So just like how when we think it's about money, it's actually not about money. It's really about our connection to our worthiness. When we think it's about time, it's actually not about time. Okay, and time is either I don't have the time, my schedule is maxed, or time can sound like this isn't the right time, I'm waiting for something else. It's not really about time. Here's what's going on when time is the thing that's coming up for us. There is a part of us that is afraid of change. And because that part of us does not want any kind of change to occur, even good change, even the change that we're wanting, because that part of us is active, what we will do is we try to put distance between ourselves and our possibility, between ourselves and our dream. And so we use time as a buffer to put some distance between. And the way that we use time as a buffer is to say things like, I just don't have the time, or this isn't the right time. And that is a way that we can put distance between ourselves and having our dream. I want to speak into a few specific examples where this commonly comes up. Lisa and I work with a lot of moms and dads and parents, and something that as we get into conversation we hear is that they really want to have whatever their dream is. But they start to think about that, but if I had that, it might mean that I don't have as much time for my family as I do now. Like, if I actually had the thriving business that I wanted, I would not just be at home hanging out for the hours that I'm hanging out. And that doesn't feel so good to me, or that feels scary. It doesn't feel as comfortable to me. And so then we'll say, oh, this just isn't the right time. I've just got to wait until the kids are in school, or until X happens, or until my schedule this. And it's a way to put some distance between ourselves and what we want. Now, another common thing that I hear a lot is that people are feeling extreme overwhelm. They are feeling like, my calendar is already so full. I'm already committed to so many things, and I don't know how to balance it all. I don't know how to manage how full my calendar is. And what I have to tell you is that if you are currently going from thing to thing to thing, and you are feeling exhausted and run down and overwhelmed, that is not the result of your calendar being maxed. It is a result of a belief that you're holding for yourself. And so the way that we create more spaciousness is to edit and up-level your belief system. And we get to create a personal breakthrough for the way that you relate to your responsibilities, to your obligations. We may get to take some things off your list. We may get to look at delegating, and we may not. Those things may get to continue to be your obligation and your responsibility. But there is a way to break up with the experience of overwhelm when we are connecting with our willingness for things to change. People that experience overwhelm are unwilling for things to change. And I know that is a bold statement, but I have to say it to you because it will make a difference. If you are currently experiencing overwhelm, check in with your unwillingness to change things. And when we get willing and get courageous for things to change, and we're not gonna know how the change is gonna happen or what the change is gonna look like, but when we get willing for things to change, the overwhelm can subside. And this is the work that Lisa and I are honored to do with our clients in the circle, and however it is that we work with people, is really help to create those personal breakthroughs and bust that up. And so if you are feeling like you do not have the time or it is not the right time, really ask yourself, check in around the willingness for things to change, because it's likely that you're using time as a buffer to keep between you and change. And the third thing that I want to speak into is the need for permission, okay? And this looks like getting some approval either from someone in our life or something in our life. So this could sound like people will say, this sounds great, I want to do this, and I've just got to check with my husband, or just to see what my business partner says, or I'm just going to talk to my finance guy and make sure that he thinks this is a good idea. So it can look like getting approval from someone, or it can look like getting approval from something, which sounds like, I want to see how much I owe in my taxes, or I'm expecting a rebate and I want to see how big that rebate is, or I know that I have a bill coming soon from a medical procedure that I have, so I have to check in to see how much that bill is, or a permission from a schedule. I have to wait till I get my schedule and then I'm gonna see. So when we use permission or the need for approval, it's not actually about permission or the need for approval, and stick with me here, y'all. It is actually about our willingness to trust ourselves. And I know that it can be scary to trust ourselves, okay? And we may have a history of times when we thought we trusted ourselves and then we dropped that trust, when we gave up our trust, when we didn't show up, when we didn't follow through, when we acted in a way that eroded our confidence in ourselves. And so what we do, and this is pretty sneaky of us, is instead of standing in our trust, we will put that on someone else or something else. So we'll say, I just gotta check in with my partner. And instead of trusting ourselves, we go to our partner and say, can you make a decision for me? And in that moment, we are not being kind to our partner. Because what we are really doing is saying, I don't trust myself. I don't want to be at blame. Can you make a decision? Can you put that pressure on you? And we're doing this because subconsciously we want to share in the blame. Okay, subconsciously we're wanting to let ourselves off the hook. I know, y'all, I'm talking high flame. I'm giving you the business. And I know it because it matters, because you need to hear it. When I go to my partner and say, gosh, I want this, but I'm just not sure. What I'm actually doing is subconsciously saying, I'm afraid that I might not follow through. And if I don't follow through, if I give up, can we share this blame? Can both of us together say, well, we thought it was gonna work? The most empowered, loving thing that we can do for ourselves and our partner is make a choice for ourselves. And then we can still have this conversation with our partners. We don't have to be sneaky. We don't have to go behind our partner's back. We can still have a conversation with our partners. But let's have one from a place of power. Let's go to our partner and say, hey, I've really been practicing trusting myself. There is a dream, there is a desire, there is something that I want, and I have decided that I'm worthy of having it. I've also decided, even knowing my past patterns, that I can trust myself. That if I make this decision, I am going to show up and follow through. It might not be perfect, it might be a little messy, but I'm really going to trust myself. So this is the decision that I've decided that I'm going to make for me, and I trust that it's also going to take care of our family or our business or etc. Can you empower me in this decision that I'm making to trust myself? Y'all, can you feel how different that is? Can you feel how loving that is to ourselves and our partner when we come with that level of confidence? We have got to stop using other people in our life as our scapegoats. We have got to stop putting the responsibility on them to determine if we should trust ourselves or not. We get to trust ourselves and ask the other people to celebrate the powerful ways that we are showing up. And here's what I've seen, is that if we're looking for our partner to give us the green light, it's likely that we won't show up and follow through because we have not taken on that responsibility. Instead, we've given ourselves a pass to, it's okay. If I get overwhelmed, if an old pattern shows up, it's okay. They already know that it's okay. But when we trust ourselves, we call ourselves to a new level. We call ourselves somewhere higher where we say, I get to show up for myself. It might not be perfect. It might be messy. I might swing and miss. I might skin my knees, but I'm going to stay in the game. I'm going to stay all the way and trust myself all the way through. And this changes the game. So when we are wondering, how do I fund my dream? How do I create space for my dream? How do I trust myself in navigating my dream? This is where we go. Okay? If you are feeling like your bank account isn't agreeing or your schedule isn't agreeing or there's someone or something in your life that might not be so sure or they wouldn't choose it for themselves, the place we go is, I am worthy of this. I am willing for change to occur and I can trust myself. And when we make decisions from that place, when we make decisions from being connected with our worth, from being willing for change to occur, and from trusting ourselves, the how can then be revealed. The next step of the how, where we get the money from, how we create the space and the schedule, how we have the powerful conversation with our partner, whoever it is in our life, looks so different than when we come from a disempowered place. And this is the work that we would love to continue doing with you. It is my intention that this served you powerfully, that you can see what is possible for you and your dreams, that there is a roadmap that you can follow from right where you are. No matter how much debt you have, no matter what your history with money has been like, no matter how maxed your schedule is, and no matter what other people in your life have to say about your desires, that you can see that there is actually a roadmap for you to follow. So my friends, I would love to invite you to join us in the circle. If you need more from this, you can request to book a call, but I'm going to ask that you trust yourself. I am going to ask that you see that this is possible for you, that it is not about the money not being there, it is about your willingness to create access to the money. I've got to tell you that I have it on good authority from my friend Dr. Janine Steffens, who is a professor, who says that there is currently enough money in circulation that every person in the world could have $1 million. So it is not a matter of the money not being there. It is a matter of our willingness to create access to the funds to create what we want, to get out of our own way enough, to interrupt our old patterns enough that we can step into a new pattern to create what it is that we want. And this is what Lisa and I are so honored to do for all of our clients in the circle, in our masterminds, one-on-one and beyond. And I am so glad that we get to have this conversation today, you and I. So hit the link in the show notes. Come and join us in the circle. Book a call with us if that is the next step for you. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.